triangle combination arm or the choke here. Achilles jumps past, now looking for...
So Achilles' first fight at the Midwest Finishers was against a pretty seasoned competitor, somebody who we kind of watched some footage on, and Achilles went into the match trying to fill the guy out, and the guy was drawing him into leg locks, and Achilles had some exchanges with him, and they were attacking each other pretty evenly. I could tell the guy was a big guy, and he kind of knew, had some understanding of leg locks. So I told Achilles to change gears and go in a different direction, because we train like that. You know, we always train knowing that whatever direction our opponent starts to take us in, that we want to go and switch gears to find out where the weakness is. So Achilles went into passing, and I told him, I said, look to pass and use either back mount or regular mount to expose the submissions. I was really looking for the back. I wanted Achilles to get to the back. I even said it to him. I said, look for the back. I think he's going to give up the back as you put the pressure on the pass. And he executed a couple passes, almost got the back, and then eventually he got to the mount, and he was able to kind of pull the guy's arm up into like a high mount violin attack on the arm, and he was able to use that to transition to the back. And from there, you know, I know the avenues of finishing for him are really big. He has a lot of good attacks off the back, and he set up one of them, the reverse triangle, and he eventually ended up catching the guy's leg and kind of choking him in the middle. So it was a really good display of his abilities and his movements. You know, he's a very athletic and agile and smart, you know, jiu-jitsu competitor for his age already. So it was really cool to see. So Achilles' second opponent at the Midwest Finishers was a guy who we had kind of already studied as well, and we noticed that he liked to be on top, had pretty good wrestling and good attacks on arm bars, and also trained at a pretty good gym that has you know, a versatile amount of athletes that do very well in different aspects. So we knew he'd probably be complete, and we also knew he was kind of unorthodox like Achilles, and we knew that if we draw him into playing that unorthodox game where there's a lot of movement, Achilles would capitalize, because Achilles is probably one of the best scramblers I've ever seen. So they went into the match, and Achilles was you know, working to get on top, did a little bit of wrestling, got on top, then eventually sat guard to kind of keep the movement going, and then kind of wrestled up and you know, kind of put himself in a little risky situation with a crucifix, and then he popped himself out of it and ended up on top. And then they tried to attack some legs, and they kind of played some legs back and forth. The kid went for a knee bar. Achilles was going after a toe hold. Kind of just a lot of movement, as most Achilles matches, a lot of movement happening. And then Achilles put some pressure on his guard and worked to pass. And just like everything else, I tell him I'm always trying to direct him to try to find the groove where he feels there's an edge, you know. And I could tell one of his favorite places to, you know, make people make mistakes is to turn or kind of accept back taking. So he's always trying to formulate avenues to get to the back, and he did again in this match. He formulated an avenue to the back, and he was able to set a rear naked choke and get a really beautiful finish on it. So that was his second match. So Achilles' third match was against a very seasoned opponent, and he was another guy we kind of studied, watched matches on, and we knew that he wanted to be on top, so he wanted to wrestle to get a good position on top. And I told Achilles that I wanted him to go in there and just make a lot of scrambles. One, because the guy was really sound, and I could tell he was really strong, and he had good basics. So I told Achilles we need to make a lot of scrambles and eventually use those scrambles to get in on a leg lock, because I felt like he had a more of a traditional jiu-jitsu. He was a Brazilian kid, and I already knew, I could sense by the way he rolled that he might not be up to date with the new stuff with the leg locks. And so Achilles went into the match and kind of came out the gate really fast after him and tripped him, and they stumbled over each other, and Achilles ended up on top, and then the kid pushed him off, and then Achilles shot again, and they ended up in like some throws, and the kid was trying to body lock Achilles. And if you know anything about Achilles, you know that he's super unorthodox, and everything he does feels different than anybody else you've ever grappled with. And that I could tell was kind of throwing the guy off, and I could tell he was getting tired. And that was a part of the purpose. I told him, I said, go in there and just make him feel, lost in what you're doing, so that you can eventually get into a good place and then secure a submission. And Achilles hit him with one of his favorite setups, where he kind of baits you to go for an omoplata, and then uses the omoplata to set you up into, passing or back taking or leg entries. And he's got so many variables from this series. And if he puts his arm in and you don't attack it, then he'll just pull you through and pass your guard. So like I said, he just has so many different variables from this scenario of attack. And one of them is the one he hit in the finish here, where he kind of pulled the guy in and then went upside down and locked like a donkey guard with a body triangle, and then came off the side of that, securing the leg into like a knee bar, straight knee bar, and kind of outside heel hook variation, and then he finished with the heel hook. So it was a really exciting match while it lasted. So in Achilles' fourth match was against an opponent that we are very familiar with. It's somebody who used to be one of our main training partners. So he's had a lot of experience on the mat in training, and also in competition against him. And we knew what we needed to do to get in there and win, and the areas that we needed to kind of try to avoid as best as possible, so that we don't end up in a bad place and get stuck in a submission. A lot of his opponent's strengths were things that, one, I remember helping this gentleman with on his attacks, on his leg entries and finishes. One, because I was one of the main instructors at the gym that he used to train with, and so long story short, Achilles' goal was to go in there and kind of weed out the really good positions that he could fall into to capitalize on passing and taking the back, and also setting up his own attacks, with the traps. Like I said, Achilles is super unorthodox. And he's able to kind of create really good motions, and he's very, very hard to tap. And in this match, he ended up hurting his foot because he did eat a couple foot locks to get out of some terrible situations. He did very well, in comparison to his opponent, the amount of experience that he has and the amount of experience Achilles has. Achilles did extremely well. Didn't get the win, but he had a very, very good performance and at a very high level tournament. So very proud of him for his ability to go out there and fight at the level that he's fighting at. So that's the recap. Thanks guys for watching. Keep rolling with the Rochas, and we'll keep doing some of these breakdowns of tournaments and events that we go to. Take care.